It's initially the opening speech was a bit faster, wasn't it? And I just said I felt that because it was sort of a questioning at the beginning, that I felt it should be a little bit slower and things like that, didn't we? So and just sometimes we made mistakes, and then as we got together and played it together, you know, there were more things that we did. Adding crescendos, because there was very little markings on the score, so I just had to interpret it from what I felt. And I've got fabulous photos somewhere of Man tiptoeing around his office like this, trying to explain to me in Malay what he wanted the emotion to be. And he was, at the beginning, in the A section, he wasn't, you know, lovely, sort of little melodic kind of split between the hands. He said he wasn't feeling very good and didn't know how to tell his family, so he said, I was trying to, like this. And I said, oh, so you're trying to tiptoe around the subject then? You didn't know how to say anything? And he goes, yes, 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 that's it. So then I went home and I thought, right, tiptoe. Pip, 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 pip. And I thought, well, I'll play it staccato, because that's more of a tiptoe thing, and very soft and tiptoe. So I interpreted that myself staccato, and then when I played the excerpt to him, he said, oh, no, I want it legato. So it's okay. So then, because the A section comes back 3 times, I had to sort of put a feeling in as well, how is it different each time? So the first time I play it with very little pedal, and you have to lean on the second note, boom, boom, boom. And I made a little song up. I played the 4 notes together, so it sounded like a harmony, you know, a little chorale, and I made up a little song in my head to help me get the emotion, like I'm feeling sad, and you know, can you hit me, and things like that, and that sort of helps me remember the emotion in it. And then the second time, after that big explosive section, I felt that, you know, when you've had a really like moment, you're just exhausted. And so I thought you needed to be a bit more grounded, so I added the pedal into that and held on to the bass note. And I felt that just gave it a really nice, calm feeling. And then the third time it comes around, I lightened it again, but made it more of a conversation between the hands with just touches of pedal on the last note. So you may or may not have heard that, but that's what was happening. What about for you?
I'm not very technical. I'm terribly untechnical.
I don't want to add more, because the interesting part is when my composition it's come to the new version. Okay, so I think maybe we can talk and explain more if we have a question. Maybe we go open book for the question.
So now we are open to questions and answers.
Yeah, if anybody wants to ask a question. It's very difficult trying to interpret somebody else's piece, because as a performer, I normally play pieces that I get given in any genre, and I interpret them as I feel from the notes and maybe from prior recordings, but there were no prior recordings for this. And plus we had not a big communication issue, but sometimes things were lost in translation or in accents or things like that. And I wanted to represent what Man wanted, but then find my own balance in that as to what I actually wanted to add to it, that I felt, you know, emotionally. I mean, I wanted to put his emotions forward, and the, you know, the sort of the mode of how he wanted it played, and the reason why he wanted it played. But then I wanted to add my own sort of inflections to it, and that's hard to find that balance where you're not overtaking what the composer wanted, because most of the time we're playing pieces where the composer's not around to ask. You know, I remember playing a piece of Peter Sculthorpe's once, and there was this rhythm in it, and I thought, well, how staccato or loud, you know, does he want? There was a dotted rhythm, and I thought, well, how dotted? And it was massive chords going from one end to the other. So he happened to be living, so I rang him up in Sydney, and I said, sir, I'm playing this piece, and what do you mean by these chords? And he goes, darling, I don't care, do what you like. So that was nice, but you know, you do as a performer, I think, want to do the very best for the composer if they're around, and especially when you're working with them.
Distance also about the problem is about distance also. We're trying hard to communicate the symbol and so on. Any question? At least one.
Did you like it with or without the ensemble?
From students? No?
It's nice, isn't it? It's nice
And
to share it.
just finished.
Yeah, he wrote that yesterday.
Yesterday.
So he based it on all different dance rhythms, so the different patterns that he was using. Maybe you can say about that, like Doggett and...
I have 2 minutes. If you don't give the question, I give the explanation. Okay? Okay, deal. Okay. I try to mix this composition, serial composition, with Kaherwa. Kaherwa is, you know what?
No, you're right.
Maybe they can listen. Okay, Kaherwa is, why I choose Kaherwa? Kaherwa, they have a space, Kaherwa, rather than Tintal. Yes, it's more, the space is more small, but Kaherwa, so I can let the pianist feel the chord or the movement of the melody. So I do not disturb too much. So that's why I could use Kaherwa. And then when we come to the triplet, so I just, joget. Maybe you can mix around with joget. So, and finally.
And then we have Zapping.
And Zapping also. When the evoke emotion. I think Zapping is much better. I just try to give more emotion on this, and then it's come to polymeter. 4/4, 5/4, and 3/4. I use the Zapping, and then I blend with the Ghazal 5/4. So I blend with 3/4 and then wait for the signals, and then finish.
The passage that we have is actually all, it's all 3/4. But I interpret it the way the phrasing goes, to me, it goes 4/4, 5/4, 3/4, 3/4. But it's actually all written as 3/4. But the way I was phrasing it, instead of going 1, 2, 3, 1, it's a da 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 da. So it's all like that. But the way the phrasing and the notes go is da 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 da, and it just felt to me like it was more interesting to do it rather than just a 3/4. And then throughout section we decided to do a waltz.
Yeah. In Malay we don't have waltz, but I just use this and try to imitate the sound of waltz.
So in piano,
it's Malay waltz.
It's a lovely waltz. So we were waltzing around yesterday. But normally in a waltz, you know, you'd have 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
You have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. So as a composer, you can't travel much. You know, your scores are all over the world. And like since there's a performer performing, would you share with us if there's a way that you're going to add in the scores or notation that basically to minimize I would say, communication, but still, you know, it is there. I mean, there is like some explanation for you to provide in the school. That,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like your message is there, so that
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the
I know.
school. So is it still developed? I mean, you're still developing your
Yeah, I'm still developing. Because every time in my composition, the problem is chord. That's my trademark also. In my band, in Gamui also, sometimes score is just a guide. Just a guide. We used to play around and give some idea among of the band. So that style is keep in my serious composition also. And then I try to develop after this maybe. After this we try to maybe copyright and publish as a
So I have a copy of the score, so what I'm going to do is I've got a copy of the basic score, which we've added things to, and then I'm going to go and put what I've done on my score. And then so if somebody wants to know what I've done with the score, that's what I can do. So that's the good thing. And I can send that to somebody and say, here's the playing score, do what you like with it. Here's my copy, this is what I did with it.
He's more right than me. Yeah.
It's a bit like that, but you're supposed to know what you're doing.
All right, I think that's all. So thank you very much once again. A round of applause. So now we come to the last presentations of these sessions. So we have Dr. Goh. So let me introduce a little bit on her biography. A passionate performer of contemporary classical music, pianist Dr. Yanlin Goh has premier solo and chamber works across North America, Europe, Africa, and Malaysia. Well-known composers she has collaborated with include Chen Yi, Giganru, Mike Kinas, and Tom Lopez. This year, she is selected as one Beat Fellow with the U.S. Department of State of Educational and Cultural Affairs out of 1,500 applications which took her to the U.S. this past September and October for music diplomacy. Dr. Yanlin holds a doctorate in contemporary music performance from Bowling Green State University in Ohio, USA, and a master